Hello and welcome back to Live Happily Ever Now. I am your host, Carrie Briggs. How are we? How are things? How is this beautiful life that we be living? I have a blue drink. I just got this like blue drink at Starbucks today. I'm in this new, I don't even know what it is. It's like a quantum shift, a quantum leap. And I talked about it on a reel the other day. I was driving and all of a sudden it was like, holy shit, when did I step into this timeline of more space and more ease and more support? And although things are really hard, still, I am a single mother. Things are like beginning to be more easeful in a way that they've never been before. So, I am going to talk about maybe some possibly triggering subjects. If you are anyway, any like pharmaceuticals, I am going to talk about that right now and the stigma around that in this episode. I'm going to talk about a lot of stress, talk about a lot of nervous system regulation, talk about single motherhood, spirituality, and how everything is kind of tied together in this journey that I'm on right now. And for those of you who are most of you who are listening to this have been following me for a long time, you know who I am. But the gist of the story is like I am a single mother. I have three kids, 12, 10, and 8. They are very young children. And you know, we've talked about the divorce. Like it was not a very healthy marriage, and I was left to do most of the things, and I'm still doing most of the things with not a lot of support from the co-parent. So I'm navigating like post-separation abuse. I am navigating the fact and the reality that I have three children and three beings that are with me 90% of the time, that I'm the one running them to sports, to school, to doctors, to therapy, to all of these things. I'm the one that is managing the finances. I'm the one that is managing their emotional, physical, like all of the needs, the school, everything. So for 2.5 years, almost three now, I have been navigating this alone and navigating this with my I can do it by myself. I can do it by myself. I'm going to do this by myself and I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure it out. I'm just going to use my tools. And I kept on slipping deeper and deeper into a depression, essentially, to where I've had so many. I'm so grateful for the tools that I have. I am extremely grateful for my Reiki practices and my breath work and my nervous system regulation and my Kundalini and, my movement and all these beautiful things that I have at my fingertips to use for these things. And my spirituality, like meditation, journaling, all of these incredible things. And I was using these and nothing was working. And I kept on falling deeper and deeper into like I'm broken, like there's something wrong with me, there's something wrong with me, my tools aren't working, meditation isn't working, that usually works, journaling isn't working, that usually works, movement isn't working, streaming isn't working, sacred rage, like all of these things, my reiki, my kundalini, like none of these things were working, and I still felt so numb. And I kept on feeling defeated. I'm like, this is literally what I teach, is how to get people out of this like nervous system reaction, of this fight freeze fawn, like all that spaciousness of depression. And I would beat myself up, be like, there's nothing I should be depressed about, like I have an incredible partner, I have beautiful kids, like I'm alive, I am healthy, I'm all these things. And I kept that story of I shouldn't be depressed added to the depression. And I kept on sinking deeper and deeper and deeper to where I was in tears every single day, multiple times a day. I would be walking and I would just like burst out in tears. I did not smile. There was no joy. Everything was getting so, so, so heavy, and I couldn't find my way out of it. And I've had different levels of depression before. I've definitely had like very dark moments. I went through a very depressive episode, you know, um, on my birthday last year, that I was like the darkest I think I've ever been. But I got myself out of it using the tools that I had. I left an abusive relationship that was not in my best health, and I was finding ways to support myself, and I like started gathering all these support systems. And then I continued to grab these support, like I'm leaning on partner, like my partner, I'm leaning on my friends, I'm leaning on my family, I'm leaning on all these people with help with my children, with school, with all of these things. And I'm finding all these like beautiful local supports, I'm finding local friends, I'm finding local community, like all these incredible things. And I'm like, okay, so I'm doing all these things, I'm more supported than I've ever been in my entire life. I am still doing, like, I'm in the best place I've ever, not in personal life, like in personal life, like it's in a beautiful, very beautiful space. Why am I so depressed? Why can't I get better? Why can't I smile? Why, like, music is like like doesn't feel like anything? Like food tastes bland. Like, what is wrong with me? What is broken? And I remember I'm laughing now. It was not funny at the time. It was kind of funny at the time. So, you know, I like maybe TMI, maybe it's not TMI, but I'm like, I was so deeply emotional. I'm like, I must be pregnant. Like, there's obviously no other answer for me to be this way. Like, I was taking pregnancy tests. I'm not pregnant. Like, that is actually a physical impossibility. I have an IUD and my partner has a vasectomy. Like, there's no way to get pregnant. But I'm like, there's something wrong with me. Like my emotions are disaster. Like I'm calling my midwife and I'm like, I need blood work done. There's something wrong with me. Like there has to be something wrong with me. Why are my emotions a mess? She's like, there must be something wrong with my thyroid. There must be something wrong with my hormones. And like test all those things, all come back 100% normal. And I'm like, okay, there's still something wrong with me. There has to be something physiologically wrong with me. And I called her a couple weeks ago and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's, and like, I'm sort of bawling. She's like, Carrie, and I had mentioned it before. I'm like, maybe we've had this conversation. She's like, maybe you just look at taking some support, like some, doesn't have to be long term. It doesn't, but she's like, you are in such a space that your tools aren't helping you get out of it. I mean, you're in therapy, you're doing everything correctly. Your brain and your body is so overwhelmed and stuck and frozen that it can't function. She goes, it's okay to accept support. And this is a different version of support. And I just like on the phone, I was like sobbing. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't stop crying. I can't stop. Life is miserable right now. And there's no reason for it to be miserable. And she's like, how do you think we're going to graduate you to some antidepressants? And I'm like, again, I don't take ibuprofen. I don't take Tylenol. I don't take pain medication. I don't take cold med. I don't take anything like ever unless I'm actually dying. And even so, I'll be like, can I like pain? Okay, I'm gonna smoke some weed. Like that's my if I'm like anxious or that. And like I microdosed for years. I've been microdosing and the microdosing wasn't working. Microdosing used to help me with my like depressive episodes. And nothing that I was doing was working. And I kind of like I felt so defeated. I'm like, this is so against my spirituality, these pharmaceuticals, like this is another something that I've never ever done. I was like, long story short, I was forced on antidepressants when I was a teenager, so I had like a very large aversion to them. And she's like, I just want you to try it. Like we're just gonna try it and we're just gonna see how it goes. And I started taking them and I'm like, what is happening? And for the first time in such a long time, see, even my computer was like, yeah, uh, I feel joy again in a way that I haven't. And it's not like I'm like the very small, like the smallest dose you could possibly get. And we're on like monitoring and we're doing all these things. But it was this, and I still have this like story of like, I failed. I failed in my spirituality because I had to take a pharmaceutical. I failed because I'm on an antidepressant. I failed because I teach like mindfulness and positivity and all of these things, and yet here I am going against everything that I ever taught. And I've also taken a huge step back from social media to really focus on like what it is my medicine, what it is my message, and you know where am I going, like what direction am I going in. And so I've been like taking this step back, and like in this step back I've been able to really reconnect back into my spirituality on a very deeper, like healthy level of, instead of trying to force content and to force people. And there was like, and that's exactly, I was like forcing myself to post, forcing myself to write content, forcing myself to make videos and reels. And it wasn't my authenticity, my truth. And I felt so toxic. And I'm like, why does this all feel negative? And it's because it wasn't me. It was this version of me who had to perform. It was like that very performative, have to. And I'm like, this is the exact thing that I tell my clients not to do. This is the exact thing that I help my beautiful, people in my world not to do. And yet here I am doing it. I'm not taking my own medicine. So taking this beautiful step back, accepting and like looking at all this support around me. Like, okay, so I started taking antidepressants. I am deeply working on my health again. And that was the other thing too, is like my health was like I was sick all the time again. I'm like, why am I so sick again? It's because the stress and the cortisol was making everything else spike, and then blah blah blah. But it was like this whole roller coaster of like beating myself over here. No, like, and it's so hard, especially when you're awake and you have an awareness. It's like the depression was so heavy And like I sat there on like a devil on the shoulder being like, you have no fucking reason to be depressed, Carrie. Why are you so fucking depressed? And that like adds to the depression of like, there's no reason to be depressed. Why am I depressed? I can't get out of it, making it worse and worse and worse and worse. And nothing was bringing me joy. So taking a step back, I'm like being able to reorganize and recognize these beautiful things that are around me. I took inventory of all of my, because I've been sitting in meditation and my guides and my sources like, you need to go see how much content you have. Just like for shits and giggles, I want you to go count, all of the classes that you made, all of the whatever. And it's, I have over 50 master classes that I have taught, like hour-long master classes. I have over 6 courses, which are like 6 weeks or longer. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's 10 courses. And then I have like over 100 meditations and activations that I've recorded. And it's like, holy shit. Like these are things that I've created from my channel into and brought into the world and help have healed, hundreds, almost thousands of people. So, but I didn't recognize that until I took a step back. And, I still haven't fully shut down the other Instagram page, but there was this energy of holding 20,000 followers who weren't engaging. And I started a new Instagram page. Did I say Instagram or Facebook? With like 100, I think it's like 170 people on there. I have more engagement and more views and more content off that 170 followers than I did 200 or 20,000 followers. So it's been this like beautiful awareness of like, where am I being guided? What am I being shown? And this whole new journey is insane. It's like this, I stepped into this and I keep on getting more emotional about it. Like I really have stepped into this higher version, like that. I quantum shift at a level I haven't fully comprehended. And it's so beautiful every time like I have a quantum shift, I look back and be like, oh shit, like I was in it. I was in it for a really fucking long time. And I never thought I was gonna get out. And I look back and be like, I survived that. I survived that and look at where I am now. And am I where I want to be? No. Where am I going to be where I want to be? Yes, I will because we're constantly shifting and evolving. But you have to go through each step. You have to be willing to surrender and lean into and ask for support and find the things because the reality is my entire life was built on this foundation of sticks. And I've said this many times before. Like sticks and twigs. And when my reality, so like my business, my family, my visibility, everything was built on this like like they keep on showing me like a boardwalk for like an ocean, like going over the ocean. So you have this like giant boardwalk, but the poles are usually like, I don't know, they show me like telephone poles, like trunks are made out of sticks. So I'm like out there on this, and all of a sudden one thing fell, which was essentially the divorce, and everything came crashing down because I had no foundation. And that foundation is your support. It is your, you know, it's true. It's support. Like you need to be able to support your things. And I had no support. I didn't have support with the kids. I didn't have support emotionally, mentally, physically. I didn't have support financially. Like all of these things came crashing down. And I kept on creating this reality in my head that I had to do everything by myself. We live in a very ableist society, which is like I have to do. I can do it by myself. I can do it by myself. And society makes us feel like we have to do everything by ourselves. You should be able to do everything by yourself. You should be able to bring your kids to sports, bring them to school, do this, get a job, do this. That's a whole other topic we're going to get to in a second. And do everything by yourself. And the reality, I was juggling it all, holding it all, holding it all, holding it all. Like all of my kids, the sports, the school, the therapy, the doctors, and then managing my own health, and then, different jobs and all of these things. And it came to where it was so heavy, I literally couldn't do it anymore. And, there was supposed to be one day a week that the co-parent was supposed to take the children so I could work. And I got a message one day, that's not my problem, that's yours. And meanwhile, I watch them every single day. I have them every single day of the week. So then I was like, how am I going to bring my kids to work with me? I run farmers markets. I run a farmers market on one day and I work a farmers market on the other day. I'm like, do I have to bring my kids to work with me? So I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to bring my kids to work with me. We're going to do this. And then I started looking at like, there has to be. And then it was like, my son had baseball games on these nights. And I'm like, I can't get my kid to the baseball game. I have to be at work. I don't have my other kids. How am I going to do this? And I just remember like sobbing full. I'm like, what am I going to do? And I just heard it's like, you ask for help. And I'm like, what do you mean ask for help? I don't ask for help. I do it all myself. I do it. I figure it out. I do it all myself. And it's like, you can't do, you physically cannot be 3 places at once, Carrie. You have to figure this out. You have to ask for support. So I did. I started asking. I'm like, I literally had the principal picking up one of my kids from school and bringing him to the baseball games every week. I had my parents picking up two of my kids. I had my partner picking up my other son from the one of the baseball game and bringing him home. And it's like, oh, and I'm like, I'm at work running a farmer's market. And I remember at the end of that day, I'm like, I survived. I did it and I didn't die. Nobody's holding it against me. Everybody's like, I have support. And it was like this breath. And then I'm like, and that was the first time I really like asked for support in that way. And then I started to like kind of like reach out in different ways. Like I'm asking somebody else to pick up my daughter this week, and I'm asking some like, and I'm finding these different ways where it feels safe. But it may be simple for you, but that is something that was nearly impossible for me. My kids never went to daycare. I raised them by myself. I was a single mother, stay at home mom. I worked from home, so my kids never did daycare. They never had babysitters or nannies or all that stuff. It was always just me. So for me to ask for support and have somebody else watch my kids was hard for not only me but also them because they were never used to anybody else being there. So I like started asking for support for that. And now I'm in this space of I feel like this should be a whole other episode, this other piece I'm going to talk about. The society in which single mothers can't get jobs. Um, I love my business with every ounce of my being. I also realistically, I am a single, like, life is expensive and I have three children and I have a lot of bills and I have all these things. And I reach this place, it's like I have to find another source of income to help supplement while I'm rebuilding my business. And I'm like, okay, everybody's like, oh, just go get a job, go get a job. I don't know if if you, I have been denied over the past week, 5 jobs. Over the past week, 5 jobs because I have children. And it is really hard to accept that. And I'm in a space, I'm like, obviously those are not aligned. And like again, I'm in the space of like if it's meant to be, it's gonna work out. And these have not worked out. And it's like this society doesn't is not set up for mothers. It's not set up for families. And they're always like, yeah, we'd love to hire you, we'd love to hire you. And as soon as they find out I have kids, they start making excuses. I had an interview last week, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna do like he's like you have all the requirements. Like I'm like I can do. I'm a restaurant, like I've worked in restaurants my entire life. I've been cooking since I was 14. I went to culinary school. Like that's my zone of genius, minus this work that I do here. So like talking all availability, blah blah blah. And then something about I'm like, oh, I can't do Sundays because I run a farmer's market. He's like, okay, well we can work. He's like, okay, we'll work around that. And then he found out I have kids, and he's like, well, how old are your kids? I'm like 12, 10, and 8. He's like, and then we had a couple conversations. He cut off. He's like, yeah, I just can't hire people if they're not going to be available every single day of the week, and you're not available Sunday, so this isn't going to work. And I'm like, a minute ago it was fine, but as soon as I told you I had kids, it's not. And then somebody else asked, and then I asked, and they're like, oh yeah, that. And then as soon as they find out I have kids, nope, not going to work. Sorry, found somebody else. I'm like, you like, and it's like this. I felt so defeated in this space, and I'm like, okay, so they're anyway stepping back into this, it's okay to ask for support. And this whole stigma around not taking pharmaceuticals and having to only live by your tools and you're not good if you have to take whatever is a narrative that I think we need to shift because I'm not going to be on these forever. I'm in a really hard time in my life, and it's okay for me to accept support. We all go through moments where things are changing and shifting, and our idea of life and how we want to live is shown to us in a different way. And this is one of those things where the universe is like, okay, you want support? This is how you get support. This is how you yourself can start supporting yourself. I had to advocate. I had to go and I had to call. I use a midwife instead of my doctor because she's like my everything. Um, I had to advocate and call and, go in and be like, I'm not okay. Like, I'm really not okay. I had to like talk to my therapist consistently and be like, I'm not okay. And she's like, it's okay to accept support. And I had to go and I had to talk to my friends and I'm like, I'm not okay. And they're like, you need to ask for support. And for me in my mind, I always thought support was like somebody coming to save me. And this was like one of the most beautiful invitations into myself or a reminder for myself that the only person that's going to save me is me. And if I don't have me, nobody's going to have me. And I was able to really lean into that and lean into myself and advocate for myself in a way that I haven't been able to for a very long time. Thank you, phone or Zoom, for recording that. So, you are loved, you are worthy, you are important. There's support out there. And maybe you're not ready for that. Maybe you just need somebody to really hold you deeply. And there's a lot of us out there who will do that. That's what we do. I have helped my clients through massive shifts and changes. And I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for my mentors holding me through this decision, holding me through these life changes, making sure that I had a therapist. And if you're ever like, I am not a therapist, if you are ever in a space where you really need help, I invite you to reach out to a therapist or somebody who can help you, because it's a very hard, scary place to be in your own head when you feel like you have no options and you feel like you're defeated and there's nothing else out there. And I was there. I was like, I felt completely defeated in every area of my life. And I never saw a way out. And every single time that I just moved forward and took a step and started advocating for myself and my children and asking for help and asking for support, I found my way out of this like very deep, dark hole that was consuming me. I was like this mud hole. And every time I grabbed, I would slide down and grabbed, I would slide down. And every once in a while, I'd grab a rock and I was able to get up a little bit further. And every single time I asked for support, I got further and further and further up. Every single time I spoke up, or I spoke my truth, or I said what I needed to say and I stopped silencing myself, or I did the thing of like stepping back and listening to my channel deeply, I was able to find myself in a space where I can feel happy again and feel joy and feel peace and feel magic in a way that I haven't felt in a long time. So that's all I really want to talk about today. I love you. You're worthy. You are important. You are needed. And we are here for you. And we love you in whatever capacity that you need to be loved and worthy and seen. I hope you have an incredible week. And I'll see you next time. Bye.